had a job and a visa. I don't know how I'll survive 2 years over here.
What was the most confusing thing?
Hey, where's good coffee?
We're just hanging out.
I'm getting in trouble now. People, you would meet somebody in the hallway and they would ask me, hey, how you doing? And I would actually start talking about my day and how I was feeling. I got here on a Saturday and started my job on Monday.
This is an American dream.
Yeah. So the beginning was a little bit of a shock.
America isn't a dream, it's a decision, and not everyone is brave enough to make it. Americans by choice.
Welcome to Americans by Choice. America is the country that was built by people who took risk. Many of them were not born here. They crossed oceans, changed languages, and they're willing to start things over. And this podcast is about people who made a choice to live here and build something.
My name is Matthias May. I was born in Germany. I've been a St. Petersburg resident for over 10 years. I own my own construction company called Humble and Kind.
Tell me, honestly, when you came to this country, what was the most confusing thing about this country?
So, I came straight from a bigger city, Frankfurt, in Germany, to St. Pete, Florida. And that was a while ago when St. Pete was really, really sleepy. At the time was still, the green bench thing was basically still going on, was almost like a retirement community. Culturally, of course, there were a lot of differences, but I didn't really have a whole lot of time to think because I got here on a Saturday and started my job on Monday. So
oh, wow.
It was like, go, go, go. I worked for that company in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
And they offered me to transfer me to Florida, and it happened to be St. Pete. Well, this is very, very different, and we'll have to find things to do because otherwise I have a 2-year contract, and I don't know how I'll survive 2 years over here. So the beginning was a little bit of a shock. And then over the years, I fell in love with the area, and now, it's my home. It's been my home for a long time, and I love it, but it was a little bit of a rough start, not gonna lie.
Tell us a little bit how did you grow up and who were your parents?
I was born in Germany, obviously, and grew up there good part of my life. But then I was lucky enough that my dad's job transferred him to Africa. So I always had that experience of growing up abroad, being like an expat kid, third culture kid. And I always figured Germany was my home, but I also felt at home in other countries, other cultures. I went back to Germany for college. 5 years was a good time, but now I'm ready to explore a different country, maybe another continent. I had never been to the US when I signed my contract.
So you just came on Sunday? Start working on Monday in St. Pete?
Yeah.
And
I had no idea.
This is an American dream.
Yeah. So I had 2 suitcases. I had a job and a visa, so I was lucky that way. But I had no idea. It was like a big adventure.
What was the biggest culture shock?
First thinking, okay, where's good coffee? Then secondly, honestly, we would go shopping and we thought everything was so affordable. We didn't have outlets at the time. We didn't have TJ Maxx, so I think any German that would come here in the beginning would do a lot of shopping, right?
That's true. And also the fact that they had the price suggested retail price. And then I actually wrote letters to my friends, and I would tell them, okay, I bought this Ralph Lauren shirt. That was originally in this, but I bought it for this. It was actually the coolest thing ever.
No, shopping was just a really big deal. And then boating, just being able to go on the water, go fishing. Those were things like in Germany, just to go fishing, you need a fishing license. You have to take classes. It's almost like getting a driver's license here is not an easy task. And being able to pursue that again, that was amazing. And then the whole corporate world, right? So I was thrown into an office environment. So I had obviously my German accent with a British accent. And people were very confused by what I was saying. And so then over time, I tried to get rid of the German accent, which I still have.
Was it just an accent, or you used some words like mate?
There is some words, some spelling too, right? And I think the friendliness, coming to this country, the friendliness I wasn't used to, right? The small talk, the people, you would meet somebody in the hallway and they would ask me, hey, how you doing? And I would actually start talking about my day and how I was feeling, how my experience in this country was. And they were looking at me, I didn't really mean to ask you, any of that. I just wanted to good and move on,
So what do you think was the biggest stereotype that you thought about America?
At the time, they had the H2 Hummers, and
Ah,
just the
yeah, yeah.
roads and the big trucks and the cheap gas, the vastness of it, the
Uh-huh.
big parking lots, the Targets.
Remember, like when my parents visited me first time, that's how she would describe it to everybody. Everything is like 10 times bigger.
Yes.
Like everything's bigger.
Yes. Yes. And then, you would go to Taco Bell, and then the drinks would be like, I
Ah,
don't know,
yeah, with
44 ounces
ice.
or whatever, and the ice.
What is the most confusing food for you? American food.
A lot of things are really sweet. So I think for me it was cake. I would have cake with like fruits and different things. And here, the birthday cakes is like a buttercream. It would always be sweet. The tomato sauce, the pasta would be sweet. So it's just, I think the sugar, the sweetness, the sugar content. And now I think we have so many great restaurants in St. Pete and Tampa Bay. It's
true.
just amazing. You can have anything.
So at what point you decided to quit the corporate?
I always enjoyed being in construction, and I always wanted to own my own business. So I always knew that. Like, even at 18, yeah, I went to college and everything, but I really never saw myself pursuing like a corporate career. I did it for 5 years, basically while waiting for my green card. And as soon as I had the green card, I was ready to leave that corporate world and move on, start my own business, and never looked back since, really, for that part, right? And I liked the independence. I always wanted to be responsible for myself. And I didn't like reporting to, a boss. And of course, now I report to my clients in a way, which is the same but also different. And I didn't want to depend on maybe somebody's mood or ego as much. And so I think this country I saw people doing it. I was more surrounded here by people that had started their own business than in Germany. And so when I got my green card, I think I quit my job within a couple of months and started my real estate journey.
So what, just like hypothetically, if you would start the similar business, construction company in Germany, in Frankfurt, how do you think like just that would be? Like what would be the...
I mean, it's hard for me to compare because I don't really know all the parameters over there, right? I think the regulations are a lot, I don't want to say stricter, but maybe more complex. And I think it is easier here to find people that have done it successfully, and that they can mentor you, right? But that's maybe also how I grew up. I didn't grow up in an environment where everybody had their own business. For me, what I did here didn't really exist in Germany, and it would have taken a lot of money, because I mean, maybe
Really?
because I mean, Frankfurt, where I'm from, is a very expensive town, right? Real estate would have been is very expensive, so just to acquire anything would have taken a lot of money. It was an easier entry here, I would say. And I think here people are more willing and used to taking the chance, and they cheer you on, knowing that you also might fail, and you take that step knowing that maybe things don't work out, but I'll be okay, right? I think when you start a business, of course your goal is to like be successful, and hopefully you will be, but I think you also have to be okay to maybe fail at part of it or something like that, and then learn from that, reinvent yourself, and take the next step, right? So in Germany, it used to be more strict, where you would go to college, you would have your major, your minor, and then if your resume didn't really match with the exact requirement, your minor wasn't exactly what they needed, they wouldn't even look at you. And here, it always seemed that there was always a way to maybe take a chance, or they would take a chance on an employee. It also has to do, of course, with employment law and things like that, right? That makes it maybe easier here than over there. But for me personally, I don't know. It's hard for me to imagine the same journey over there that I was able to have here.
Why? So your construction company is called Humble and Kind.
So it was a Tim McGraw. It's not a Tim McGraw song, but Tim McGraw covered it really, really well, and that's how he's a country artist. And I do like country music. I have for a long time because my mom already liked country music, so it's not a new thing. It's been
So it's German who likes,
yes.
German who likes
Yes.
generationally country
Yes.
music.
To this day, it's still Johnny Cash at home, and Willie Nelson and Chris Christopherson, and also a lot of other things like Janis Joplin and all that. But so I heard this song. There was another song, Shotgun Rider, that I really liked from him, and then it was 2015, 2016, I think. He had that song, and it was like "Always Be Humble and Kind," and the lyrics of that song really, really spoke to me.
So did you have people approaching you just because of the name
Yes.
to do business?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have the T-shirts and the hats, and people thought it was like a clothing brand or something, and maybe one day.
If you would have to start things now as a business, and what would you do differently?
That's so interesting. I think, wow. First of all, would I do it again? Yes, I do love having my own business and being running my own company and being able to pick my own people and have a vision for it, and definitely like that. Financially, corporate would have probably been a way smarter choice, much safer.
I feel so sometimes.
I always felt that I wanted to make more of a difference locally, with people I know, people I meet in neighborhoods, in areas, and that just with construction and what we do, that's also commercial construction, that worked out really, really well, I think, where you sometimes also see behind the scenes of, let's say, a restaurant or other businesses. I love that part.
But you'd still do it.
I would 100% still do it.
If you could choose the market, would you still go around St. Pete heavy or?
Oh yeah. I mean, I think I got really lucky with the market. Would I have liked in, the time I've lived in the US to explore different cities? Absolutely. If I would be able to split myself up and maybe live in New York and, I don't know, be a contractor or a banker or whatever in Manhattan, would have been a great life experience, I think, right? I mean, I would have loved to experience that for a couple of years because I think New York is an amazing city. As a German, I always wanted to live in California and LA. I mean, that's, the movies, the shows, the music, cultural.
So when did you stop thinking that you're in the movie? Because I know when all of us just, come into United States, I have guests who I grew up with or foreigners, they come in and it's like, oh my God, this is like in the movie. They all want to go to a diner or to like Waffle House or it's like, no, you don't want to go to Waffle House. No, let's go to Waffle House because we just need to imagine like, so how soon did you get over that?
I think it's still the case when people come visit you, right? I think our day-to-day life, no. But I think when people visit you and they want to have those kind of experiences, then you re-experience it with them, you know? So, whenever people come from Germany or come visit, I think that's when we revisit those kind of places. And I love it. I think it's great to be part of the movie for a little bit. I liked Friends a lot.
Yeah,
Some
that was
people
my
hate it,
favorite.
but
I
like it.
love Friends.
I always like Bruce Springsteen and country music, Red Hot Chili Peppers. Yeah, that whole generation kind of, I think,
So speaking of cultural differences between, friends or, dating, you had a German wife before, and then, so is there a difference between, American culture or German one?
I'm getting in trouble now. I would say here it's more direct, it's more aggressive, it's more transactional. It's not judgment or anything, it's just, from my experience. I think in Germany, just approaching somebody as, let's say you want to approach a girl, you see a girl in a bar and you would like to approach her. I would have never gone up to the girl without making eye contact first and getting some kind of an invitation, like a smile or something or nod, I don't know, and then walk over. Here, once I was not married anymore, and I saw how it worked, where guys just go up to girls that are, have their back to them or something like, I would have never done that because I know in Germany, the likelihood of the girl just looking at me like, "Hey, why are you interrupting me? Like, who do you think you are?" You know, it's. I don't want to say it's more respectful. I still haven't learned all the certain levels of dating and talking. I just still don't know what seeing somebody, talking to
Oh
somebody,
yeah, there is a
dating
lot of that
somebody.
stuff. Like
Yeah,
also my son
yeah.
tells me we're just hanging out.
Hanging
And
out.
hanging
Yeah.
out is not hanging out.
No,
That's actually
I
yeah.
mean, exactly. I couldn't define all those different levels other than, like dating somebody and being in a relationship. I think that I know, but all the hanging out, talking, seeing, I still, to this day, I'm not really sure what all those mean.
What would be one thing like you would take from Germany to here that you could?
Oh, God. I think Germans generally are very considerate of what's going on in the world and how maybe their behavior could affect the rest of the world. So I think a little curiousness about what's going on in other parts of the world other than the US maybe sometimes wouldn't hurt.
Yeah, that's I would share this idea too.
Sometimes the good comes with the bad, right? So I do like in Germany, it's hard to meet people and make friends in Germany, right? It takes a lot of time. But then once you're friends, usually you're friends for a really long time and you have a very close friendship. They say, oh, people here, it's America, it's more superficial. I don't necessarily would define it as that, and I don't think it's a bad thing to be more open and to invite people
Lighter.
and open yourself up, So I think that's something I would definitely think Germans could learn.
This is Americans by choice. America is full of dreams, and real magic is the people who have courage to pursue them.
America isn't a dream, it's a decision, and not everyone is brave enough to make it. Americans by choice.
Continue. Creatively driven. Focused on results. Digital marketing agency.